Good morning, algebra students. We are going to work on evaluating functions today. Now, this is going to be a little different than what you're used to because we've thrown in some slightly more complicated examples. So, evaluating functions, simply this, we're just going to substitute whatever is in the parentheses in for the x because the 2 replaced the x, so it should replace the x both places. Now, why are we doing this? We're doing this to prepare for the next set of solving systems of equations because we are going to get ready for the substitution process. So to practice that, we're going to do some evaluating equations. So let's begin by rewriting our function. But notice I'm going to leave a gap there because I'm going to use some color to help you out. And I'm also going to replace the variable with parentheses because, remember, we always substitute inside of parentheses. So we substituted a 2 into the parentheses there, so we substituted 2 into the parentheses here. And then you can just simply plug this into the calculator because it is all numbers. And we find out that it equals -6 plus 1, which is -5. So same deal, number 2. G of, I'm going to leave that blank because I'm going to change the color, -3 parentheses plus 1. And in this case, it's -3 that we're substituting in both places. And this equals -3 times -3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Alright, and for number 3, same process. Rewrite everything, leave yourself a blank. Oh, sorry, got ahead of myself. So now right here, a lot of you might be thinking, hey, wait a minute, that's not a number. Well, variables take the place of numbers. And quite simply, is there any way to simplify those parentheses or anything to do? Nope, it's just a multiplication, so we rewrite it. -3a plus 1. All we've done is swapped out the variable. And here we go, getting into some slightly more complicated. Because now we're changing up the complexity of our substitution. But it's still the same process. You still substitute in 2b in both cases. So this time, since like with the a, that was just straight multiplication and there was nothing really to do. But here we've got -3 times 2 times b. So multiply the numbers. -3 times 2 is -6 b, and then nothing happens with the plus 1 because it's still just hanging out there on the end. Okay, g of equals -3. Leave yourself a slightly bigger gap in the parentheses this time because you notice what we're substituting in has gotten longer. There are multiple terms. So we're going to substitute in d plus 1 in both cases. Now, when we have the expression inside of the parentheses, this is where we need to remember that this is distributive property. Whether you use the area model, whether you use the arches, I don't care. Just whatever's going to make you successful. So -3 times d is -3d. -3 times 1 is -3 or -3. and then we have this plus 1 on the end. Now notice right here we have two constant terms, two numbers, so we still need to simplify, and therefore that's negative 3d, and then we do negative 3 plus 2, that's minus 2. So let's come down to the very last one. We have g of, leave your gap, negative 3 and then plus 1 at the end. And then substitute in your 4 minus c. And of course, because we have multiple terms inside of those parentheses this time, we still use the distributive property. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times negative c is plus 3c. And then we still have our 1 tacked on at the end. So looking for any like terms, I see a number, negative 12, and another number 1. So that would be negative 11 plus 3c. Alright guys, good luck with this. Hope you find success, and I'll see you when I get back from my trip.